another car that was, I think, a star of the show for me. Undoubtedly the loudest car of the entire hill climb. And I sent the video straight away to you guys because I was literally slightly deaf.
Just going to throw this out there as simply as manual or paddles, which one is better?
Another car that was unbelievably disappointing to the point where I only owned it for a few weeks.
Welcome to the Ottano Podcast, and we are back with episode 3. We're already at episode 3. So if you've been watching, hit that subscribe, follow us as we talk about all things cars. And it's an exciting episode we have planned today. But in terms of an update on Ottano, we have actually just broken through 500 members, which is really cool. So we are building what we think is the fastest growing sports car enthusiast car club in the UK. We've just broken through 500 members, which is a really exciting point for us. And we're doing some exciting things, not to mention some of the tours that we're doing coming up. We've actually got a tour in August to Wales, August 15th to the 16th, which is going to be a really cool tour in sort of collaboration with the YouTuber Rob Cubitt from the Logbook. Elliot, tell us a bit about the Wales tour that we have in August.
Yeah, so it should be good fun. We've got quite a few cars signed up already, and we've got a very nice route through the north of Wales, which is kind of the best sort of driving you can get in this part of the UK. So yeah, it's a good way to stretch the legs of your car without taking too much time away from home. So should be very good fun. We've got some really nice cars signed up already. So we've got a couple of prancing horses. We've got a 12 Cylindri and a 458 signed up. As you'd expect, we've got the Porsche contingent signed up as well. So we've actually got a 911 Turbo S. We've got a 718 Boxster, Cayman GT4, one of my personal favourites, and then we've got a bunch of BMW M cars. Got some Audi RS cars. Obviously, Rob's bringing his R8 with his Larry exhaust on it. So
he still has it. He hasn't sold that yet.
He hasn't sold it yet. He hasn't sold it yet. And if anyone watches his channel, you'll know he's been spending some time and money fixing it because
the brakes were cooked.
He did. He sort of cooked it on our trip in the Pyrenees in April. So he's been fixing it, getting it ready for Wales. So it should be good fun.
Very cool. Yeah, who doesn't love a good Wales trip, right? Especially in the summer and with a great group of cars and people like that. Hotel's an incredible, beautiful hotel in the north of Wales. So it'd be a nice 3-course meal to kick things off, good socializing, some drinks, and then waking up Saturday morning for a blast around the best roads that Wales has to offer. So that's going to be really exciting. So have a look on the website for that. There's still a few slots remaining if you want to book in for that. But yeah, we've got an exciting list of topics today. I would say the keynote topic, if you like, is going to be surrounding the Ferrari 12 Cylindri Manuale. And we're going to be talking about that, which has been lighting up the car world recently. Quite a controversial topic, you might say. But that's not all we're going to be talking about. That's going to segue into a kind of a wider discussion about kind of the emotions of driving a car and what creates a great driver experience. So we're going to talk about transmissions and how they play a role in that. But we're going to start off by talking about what we've been up to this week in the world of cars. And so maybe let's start there. And I'm going to kick things off with a little Goodwood discussion because I was at the Festival of Speed yesterday. I love going to Goodwood. Try and go pretty much every year with my dad, kind of a tradition that we've had sort of growing up. Goodwood is just such a cool event, right? It's the Glastonbury of the car world. Everyone who's anyone in the car world pretty much descends on this little patch of the English countryside. And what I love about it is it's just such a relaxed environment where you can stroll around and basically rub shoulders with influencers, Formula One drivers, luxury car brand owners or directors, visionaries in the car world. You know, everyone is there just sort of side by side. And I love that kind of equality that it creates. I love that you get generational, you know, across the generations, you have people, you have children growing up seeing this stuff. And you basically just have a whole spectrum of car enthusiasts there. So it was really cool. I got to see a lot of interesting bits and bobs there and rub shoulders with some interesting people. But I thought I'd share about a couple of things that were interesting. I got to get up close and personal with a brand called Chimera, an Italian brand called Chimera. I actually came across them on Harry's Garage on his channel. Because he was at a concourse in Lake Como in Italy, and he was talking about a Chimera, and he met one of the younger marketing events directors there, who I got to meet and spend quite a while talking to, who was basically very passionate and enthusiastic about the brand. But if you don't know Chimera, basically think Singer for Porsche. Basically how Singer kind of reimagined, if you like, the classic Porsches. Chimera is an Italian brand that basically does the same for the golden era of Italian rally cars. So they don't build the cars completely from new and sort of build new models, but what they do is they take the classic Group A, Group B rally cars and they evolve them and recreate them. And so they're not restoring them, they are rebuilding them. But they haven't been around for very long. They've only been around for about 6 years. It was founded by Luca Betti, who is an Italian rally driver. I got to see him speaking about the cars there as well. And basically their philosophy is, take Italian rally heritage, use the best modern engineering and, hand build these cars, do it in very low numbers and basically sell them for a really high price tag. So these cars are like...
How much are they, TJ?
Yeah, how much is that one that was going up the hill?
So super low production numbers. They only make 30 plus of these, 37 of them. I think the Evo 37, if I'm not mistaken, is like 1 million euros more or less.
Okay.
So it's big money. And what was hilarious was Luca Betti was talking about the Evo 37, and he basically sold one there and then in Goodwood. And so the new owner of the car was there. Basically, you could see, the new owner excitement in his face. Wow. And Luca Betti was opening up the car, talking about it with the new owner, and he was saying congratulations to him. No idea who it was that bought it, but lucky chap. But basically, wow. they've got three models. The 37 is a 2.1 liter inline four. It's only a 4-cylinder, twin charged, supercharger and turbocharged. And it's quite light, 6-speed manual. And sounds ridiculously cool. They did a nice burnout up the hill, around 1,000 kilos in weight. And then that's the Evo cool 30. Yeah,
I was going to say that's the awesome thing about the resto mods is that you're able to bypass a lot of the modern day regulations, because technically you're taking the chassis of an old car, and so you don't have to fill it with OPF filters. You can have it basically as loud as you want. And I think that's the appeal, isn't it, of those resto mods, is that you don't have to oblige by all of those regulations. It's really cool.
That's true. You can kind of sidestep it by saying that the core of it is still an old Lancia, right? And then you can effectively rebuild everything around one piece of the chassis, because it's got a full carbon fiber body and everything. And then so they've got the 37. The 38 basically is a 4-wheel drive version and tuned, I guess, from the 37. And it's a bit wider. And then interestingly, they've got this kind of crazy hypercar called the K39, which has a Koenigsegg engine in it.
Wow.
Didn't see it going up the hill. I don't know if they took it out yesterday up the hill, but looks ridiculous. I mean, the wing on this K39 is just, it's an insane rear wing on it. So it was really cool to get up close and personal, talk to them and see their passion and what they're doing. And I think that was kind of a highlight of the show, was actually seeing these more niche resto mod. I don't know if you want to call them resto mod brands, but if you like reimagining brands of these classics. So you had Gunther Works there, you have Singer there, you have, Chimera, and you've got another car that was, I think, a star of the show for me. Undoubtedly the loudest car of the entire hill climb. And I sent the video straight away to you guys because I was literally slightly deaf. I was deaf for about 30 seconds afterwards, which was the TWR Supercat, which is a naturally aspirated V12 manual, and just ridiculously loud. I mean, they were revving that thing out at the start of the hill climb. And I looked around at everyone around me, and everyone was just shocked. Everyone was in shock hearing that thing go up the hill climb. But yeah, that's another interesting, little story there. So TWR is Tom Walkinshaw Racing, founded by the late Tom Walkinshaw in the late 70s. He's a big name in like the Le Mans era of Jaguar, and so that's the name that carries quite a lot of significance in the racing world. But I think it's his son, who's kind of taking forward the brand now, and they've put a 5.6 liter V12 into effectively an XJS Jag, and basically recreated the whole thing. And it's 660 horsepower, red lines at close to 8,000 RPM, and just sounds hellish. I mean, it was the loudest car of all of the cars going up, and people were giving it some, as they do at the start of the hill climb. And this one was just in a world of its own. So that was really cool to see the TWR in the sort of a purple as well, which is quite loud.
Yeah.
I listened to it after having watched the hill climb by one of the singers, and the singer just sounded as if it was an electric car in comparison to this thing.
Yes.
It was outrageous. It was outrageous how loud that thing was. I don't think you could drive that though on the public roads. Like, you would get so much hate.
Can you imagine starting that up in the morning in a residential area, basically setting off car alarms in the entire postcode? It's just
sounds crazy.
It sounds crazy, but the car itself is, I guess, the philosophy is kind of crazy, and it will sort of tie into what we're going to talk about in a bit, in terms of creating a car that just is very analog and very raw, and kind of what they're trying to do in terms of building a car like that. So we'll link back to that discussion. But the last car that I kind of want to get your thoughts on as well, guys, because Elliot saw me appear on the official Goodwood live stream, so I felt very special, appearing in the background of a shot between one of the Goodwood presenters and the head of design at Audi, talking about the new Audi Nuvolari, which I actually had not heard about this car before, and I literally saw it appear on the hill climb track, and then got to go and meet one of the younger designers who's designed the interior of the car, and spent quite a long time talking to him, so much so that I appeared in the background of the video, of the official video, the Goodwood video of the car. But apparently this thing was concept was debuted in 2003 at the Geneva International Motor Show. It's named after an Italian guy called Tazio Nuvolari. So obviously that's where the Italian name comes from. And he basically drove race cars prior to World War II. So it's going very far back in racing history. So they finally kind of finished this concept and brought it up into the modern era with a twin turbo V8 hybrid that produces 1,000 horsepower, does 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, red lines at 10,000 RPM. So crazy numbers. What would it be like to drive? I have no idea. But does it have presence? Yes. When you see that thing pulling up, I hate to make this comparison, but when you see a Tesla Cybertruck pull up, right, you think it's some vision of the future that's just appeared.
Yeah.
Love it or hate it, it has a crazy futuristic design which draws attention to it. And I think this car, actually has that sort of futuristic presence. The word that kept getting used by the designer was monolithic. So, the word monolithic sort of describes architecture that's, imposing, unchanging, rigid, sort of brutalistic and modern in a way. And the car kind of has that. The lines are very soft and smooth. It doesn't have Lamborghini angular aggressive lines. It's all very smoothed out. And the finish is this satin, it's a carbon fiber body, but it looks like aluminium, but it's carbon fiber, but it's that satin silver finish. And the interior is like luxury Alcantara. It feels like you're stepping into like a luxury apartment when you look at the interior of that.
Did you see the one that was like with the cream interior, or was it?
No, it was sort of like a grey blue interior. It wasn't cream. Imagine the cream would be a nightmare to keep clean.
Yeah, I saw a cream one online, and I thought it looks like the interior of like a grandma's bedroom. It really wasn't very pleasant at all. But I think you're right. The exterior of it looks like it's almost made from one billet piece of aluminium, and the fact that it's got no spoilers or no canyards, and it's very smooth in its design. It certainly has presence.
It's the sort. Yeah.
You know what? I was chatting to my brother about the car when it first came out, and the thing that it makes me think of is, have you guys seen the first Iron Man movie?
Yeah, of course.
So when he's in the cave and he makes the Iron Man suit, the Mark I Iron Man suit, the very first one, and he sort of forges it in the cave out of these metals. That to me is what Nuvolari looks like. It looks like the Mark I Iron Man suit. So I think it's a tricky one to me, to be completely honest. I think it's quite brave what they've done with the car, and I think you'll have people that find it really, really cool looking. I think and do think that they'll respect all the design elements that have gone into it, which I do think are quite impressive. But to me, it just still isn't that good looking. It looks a bit weird. The end product looks a bit weird, even though I think the design is brave and they've done some cool stuff. I'm not sure I actually like the finished product that much. And ultimately, under the skin, it's basically just a Lamborghini Temerario.
Right.
It's faster than the Temerario. It's got an extra 100 horsepower over it, but it's basically the same engine. I mean, when you look at the rear of the car, you can basically tell it's the same car, just with a slightly different body, the way that the exhaust sits, etc. I agree with you, Elliot. Like, I think, to be honest, I'd be much more harsh with my criticism of the exterior. I think it looks hideous. It really is an ugly car. The only thing I like about it is the way that it looks like a piece of metal. But you can have an ugly looking piece of metal, just like the Cybertruck. And
Cybertruck is a harsh comparison.
I actually think the worst part of it is the interior, because if you're buying a car like that is meant to look like a piece of artwork, which is what I think they've tried to go for with it, then you can't have screens. A bit like if you look at Bugatti, what I think they do amazingly well is they don't overcomplicate the interior of their cars with screens. And if they do show screens, it's something that comes out of the dash, etc. And I think that massive iPad thing in the middle is gonna date that car immediately. So yeah, I don't like it at all. It can go in the bin for me.
It's a fair point. It is meant to kind of be a timeless car because it's something that started off 20 years ago that they finally are releasing, in January of next year. But I think it's the sort of car that if you're like an architect, if you're like a successful architect, and you appreciate design and you want something that just speaks about design instantly, I think that's kind of a cool car to have. They're only making 499 of them, and I asked them how much they were going to be, and he said somewhere around 600,000 euros. So it's punchy in terms of value, but again, low numbers, and I think they'll probably sell them all. I reckon they'll sell them.
Yeah.
So,
but
interesting.
I mean, if you look at the Temerario, when they're specced up, they're £500,000, 600,000 euros. So it's not that different. So what would you rather have, a Temerario or one of these limited edition cars? You have to think that this will hold its value a lot better than the Lambo, which is not what you'd ordinarily say about an Audi versus a Lambo.
and arguably, the release of this might kick Temerario owners in the nads even more than they're already getting kicked in the nads, because it might be sort of like basically just a bit more of a unique and special version of the Temerario, basically. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. But
is there any nads to kick? Has anyone bought a Temerario?
Well, that's probably true as well, isn't it? To be fair,
They missed the mark with that. That car's so bad. But anyway, for another discussion.
Yeah,
for another discussion.
I mean, yeah, I am very jealous of your Goodwood antics, because I've been going to Goodwood for probably like 10 years now. I think this is 1 year I haven't been. I've only missed a couple of years in the last many years. So I do love the Festival of Speed. I think it is a little bit different to how it used to be, in my opinion. I think it is very cool. I mean, it's still a great event. And I don't want to be negative about it, because it's a brilliant event, and any big car event like this should be celebrated. But there's a few too many EVs going up the hill for my liking nowadays. We want to see old race cars, and we want to see things that deafen us as they go up the hill, and cool stuff like that. I think there's a little bit less of that. There was a lot of EVs, and there was a lot of resto mods, to the point of it being a bit maybe even a bit repetitive this year. So and I think part of that maybe is the lack of interesting new stuff coming out. So they've got to, the new stuff that they have to talk about is Chinese EVs, basically.
It's
quite a lot.
It is a bit sad, because you'll see like a classic Mercedes Gullwing, ragging it up the hill climb, and then they'll be like, and now for the Yang Wang S3 or something like that, and it's just like, it's kind of like, it kind of kills the vibe. It kills the vibe a little bit. So I totally agree. You get this like little electric motor whizzing up the hill, and it's a bit sad. But they had a huge BYD Denza, stand, and you can just see the marketing expense that's going into
it's crazy.
Cementing these cars, not just as practical cars, but really as luxury, sexy sort of cars. They've got Daniel Craig on the ads now, standing in front of a Denza, which so you've got James Bond in front of a Denza, basically, and so that's where we're at right now.
There you go. That's what Aston Martin competing with.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Well, I saw the LFA going up the hill, and it just made me sad.
That makes me very sad.
I was almost in tears, because we obviously know how good that V10 sounded from the real LFA, which we all know what the real one is.
Although GRGT prototype, I'm all for that. Let's go Toyota.
I saw that car with the Japanese. There's like a Japanese GT3 racer there who's taking photos in front of it. That's a really nice looking car. It's really cool, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice car.
I think what Toyota has done, I don't know if you've actually seen, they've made the GR brand is now a sub brand of Toyota. So you've got Toyota, you've got Lexus, you've got Sentry, which is their almost like Rolls-Royce equivalent high-end luxury brand, and then you've got GR, which will be for sports cars. And what they're doing with that new V8, which sounds awesome, is I'm really excited. But we should save that one for another pod, because I think there's actually a lot to discuss there. And I have the utmost respect for Toyota in the last few years, not getting carried away like all the Europeans with going EV, and actually being quite firm, holding the line when everyone else was just giving in to pressure, so to speak, and Toyota didn't. And I think they're coming out on top for it. So we can discuss that another day. But we do have a big discussion topic, don't we, TJ, to talk about this morning, which we've been holding off from discussing for all week. Me and Elliot were in the office together, and we had to purposely not talk to each other about it, because we were saving it for now. So do you want to give the big reveal as to what is the key topic we'll be discussing today?
Let's get into it. So we're going to be talking about the Ferrari 12 cilindri manuale. So we're talking about
very good pronunciation.
We're talking
Great
about
pronunciation.
We're talking about the new reveal of Ferrari's 12 cilindri with a supposedly manual gearbox. And initially, I think it created a lot of excitement post the Luce fiasco, shall we say. because it seems like, okay, great, Ferrari's kind of come to their senses and they've put a gated manual in a V12 again, which is, peak Ferrari, you could say. But then on closer inspection, it appears that this is not a traditional manual transmission. This is what's called a manual by the wire, which I think even in that terminology sounds misleading, because that still sounds quite mechanical to me when you think about kind of like a wire cable throttle or something. It still sounds like there's some... Yeah, exactly. It sounds like there's some connection to the gearbox, but actually, no, we're talking electronic wires here. So I guess the question here is this what we've been waiting for? Is this Ferrari making the amends for what they've done recently? Is this a turning point for Ferrari, or is this actually kind of quite sad and actually just we're starting to lose the soul of what a Ferrari should be? So that's kind of what I want to discuss. What I want to hear from you guys first. So what do you guys think about this?
Well, I think it's, to be honest with you, I think my opinion is that it's difficult for us to judge it fully at this stage, given that we don't know how it drives yet. No one's driven the thing yet. So, or at least the embargo is still live. So if anyone's driven it, no one can talk about it yet. So
right.
I think a big part of it will come once people have driven it. And the reason I say that is, it's, to be honest, it's slightly annoyed me, all of the people online kind of who have a problem with the fact that it's not just a normal conventional manual gearbox. To me, I'm like, I think the people that are complaining about that are the type of people where like nothing's ever good enough. Like ultimately, we've been asking, everyone wants manual Ferraris to come back, and if they come back in this new fashion, which as long as, in my opinion, as long as it drives and feels like a conventional manual gearbox, as long as it's close enough in that all the good things about driving manual, you still get those sensations. As long as all that is there, I don't care if it's actually operated by some electronics and whatever. As long as I enjoy driving it as much as I do a genuine manual gearbox car, happy days. Like, we want a V12 Ferrari manual. We've been wanting that for ages. So I'm all for it. I think as long as that car drives the way it should, and that's going to be the real. I think that's going to be the real test, is when we get some some journalists that have tested the car, and we see whether actually it is noticeably different in a bad way to a conventional manual. Then I might come back on my word. But at this stage, we should be celebrating the fact that Ferrari's put a manual gearbox into manual in air quotes gearbox into a Ferrari nowadays. And yeah, I'm all for it. I think it just looks wicked, doesn't it? You look in the interior and you've actually got a gear lever. It's not just a flat console with some buttons. There are some buttons on there as well, but anyway, I think it's great. I mean, yeah, I think it's a cool thing. I can't wait to see some reviews of it, because it's
I think that's key.
Yeah,
I think that's
really
key because the devil's in the detail. I mean, I think does this truly feel like a manual? Does it feel like a Ferrari gated manual? For me, I think the comparison here is actually not between this and a traditional manual. I think the comparison is between this and flappy paddle auto, because what this is giving you a hybrid manual and automatic car, which you couldn't have before. You couldn't have both an automatic car and a gated manual before. So this is a new category of transmission.
Well, that's not strictly true, actually. You could if you bought a Koenigsegg.
Okay, so Koenigsegg have done this, I guess, before.
Yeah.
And but for most cars,
for normal people,
within the realms of modern cars and even sports cars, You had to make that choice between, I want my car to be auto and I have the fun of having flappy paddles, or I want the full manual experience. And so I think the fact that you now have the ability to kind of do both, that's actually what we're comparing it to. We shouldn't be just comparing it to a pure manual car, because then they're not the same. I mean, if you compare it to a pure manual car, well, you can't have automatic shifts in a pure manual car. So then you should be criticizing the manual car because it's lacking that element of the transmission. So so for me, I think technologically it's really cool to understand how these sensors work, how they've managed to recreate a clutch that apparently gives you a feel of slipping. It gives you a feel of biting point. You can
actually stall the car.
You can stall the car.
Stall it.
Yeah, you can go from fifth down to second. Like, you can skip gears. Like, it operates supposedly as a conventional manual gearbox, but you have the option to go in auto. And you have to remember that Charles Cylindri is ultimately, it's a super GT. It's not
it's a GT car.
Sports car. So having that auto function actually is probably quite good if you're sat on French motorways and you're coming up to a toll road. You want to blast out the toll in manual and then just chuck it back into auto again. Like, that's quite good to be fair.
Exactly. So it's about having the ability to switch on the fun and the emotion and the experience, and also sit in traffic and go through town and use it as you probably wouldn't use this as an everyday car, but you know what I mean? You can take it into town and sort of use it for more everyday settings. So I like the fact that they've tried to offer that to, in one of their cars, and I think it will be popular. But again, does it really feel like a manual? And if there's anything about it that feels artificial, I think people are going to pick up on that quickly. So I think it's risky, because if you're trying to recreate something through technology and it doesn't actually faithfully do that, you run the risk of people actually really, being very critical of it. So I think the key will be in how it feels.
Agreed.
So I was super interested to hear what you were going to say, Elliot, because I was coming into this conversation thinking that you would be like, I hate it. And actually the fact that you like it is really interesting to me. I really like it as well. I think you probably knew that I would like it, Elliot. I think the fact that you can have, as you said, TJ, a combination between manual and automatic and have that choice is really cool. I think the aesthetics of actually what the manual looks like in the car, the fact that the lights turn to orange when you're in manual versus white when you're in auto, just like that. I guess the visuals of it look really cool to me. The fact that they've only done it for the first 6 gears, so they're not trying to recreate the overdrive gears in it, I think is really clever. But the reality is, what other car can you get with 800 horsepower that's manual? Like, manuals tap out at about 500 horsepower. I mean, like, the GT3's sort of taking it to a limit. I mean, maybe there are a few cars.
That's actually not true as well, but I think it
Are we going to say Koenigsegg again? We're talking about the Koenigsegg again.
No, the Koenigsegg doesn't count because that's not a conventional manual gearbox. But there are, I don't personally, I was talking to my brother about this yesterday. I don't understand the argument of, like, we can't it's too powerful to put a manual gear. The Hennessy Venom F5M, which was on the hill climb yesterday.
I saw it in Goodwood.
That's got what, 2,030 horsepower in a conventional manual gearbox. Like,
that car's insane.
People have been doing that for a while, so it is possible. That's not the reason why. There is some other reason why. It's not that.
But maybe it's possible, but not economical. Maybe to do so costs £1 million or something like that.
That's probably more the reason. Yes.
All the weight as well. I mean, obviously, a manual gearbox is heavy as well. So I don't know how it affects the dynamics of the car.
Manual gearbox is lighter, mate.
It'd be lighter than a 7-speed DCT gearbox.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking old school cars. I thought it would add a lot of weight having a fully manual with a flywheel and everything.
Typically, it's slightly lighter. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
So no, I like it. I think that the fact that Ferrari are innovating here is really cool. I think let's look. I don't think it's usual to compare a Hyundai and a Ferrari, but I'm going to do so in this in this conversation, which is, a lot of people had a lot of negative things to say about the fake gear shifts that Hyundai introduced on their electric cars, and I think a lot of people disliked it before they'd had the chance to drive it. And I think what Elliot says is completely true. You've got to drive it, because I think now, look, the Porsche Taycan, all of the new Mercedes electric AMG products are integrating, fake gear shifts into their electric cars to bring back some emotion to it. And I think the fact that Ferrari have brought back this emotive piece of the driving experience into that car is, all credit to them. The only thing I would like, which to be fair, Koenigsegg does have in their in their version, is the ability to also use paddles. I don't know why they've taken the paddles out of the car as well, because sometimes, particularly on the types of driving that we do on hairpin alpine roads, you do actually want to and sometimes need to be able to use a paddle shifter. But
Yeah,
I'm nitpicking here. I think it's great, love it, and all credit to them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the paddle piece is it's a good question. Like, why would they not put both? But equally, if you want paddles, right, you buy the standard 12 cylindry, and I think they probably strategically made it this only, so that like that's why you buy that particular model. It's not going to be a mass production model either. So I think it makes sense to be that. I mean, we should talk about, and I thought, Ben, you'd talk about this, but we should talk about this from a strategy perspective, given that Ferrari is a public company, and there's a certain other car that was released fairly recently as well. So talk us through, Ben, your thoughts on the strategy from Ferrari.
I think we all know that they just got it massively wrong with the Luce. And to be honest, I don't even want to talk about that car. We purposely haven't actually done a podcast on it because I think it would just upset us all too much. We like to revere Ferrari for what we know and love, and that just seems so opposed to it that I almost just don't want to think about it in association with the company. But it did obviously cause, at the time, quite a stir. The stock price of Ferrari dropped quite significantly on the back of it. It's pretty much recovered all of its ground, because I think people, they weren't trying to make this a mass seller for them. I think it was the Luce was only going to be 5% of their expected sales. And maybe there is an audience for it. I just don't know who it's going to be. But there's certainly an audience for this car. And I think them coming out with this after the Luce was strategic by them. I don't know if it got brought forward or not, but I was telling you, Elliot, that something's going to get released on the 4th of July for quite a long time. And I thought that they were going to be releasing the manual version of the 12 cylindry. But what it's done is I think it's rebuilt trust, not only from consumers, but also from shareholders, that they haven't completely lost their way. And I think it is a vision of things to come, which has regained excitement. I think it is priced at 50% premium to the flappy paddle Ferrari. And what you'll see in the numbers in terms of unit sales by Ferrari is they've been a bit stuck at between 10 and 11,000 units a year. And, as a company, you only really have for them two ways to generate more revenue. It's either build more, which they can't really do, being Ferrari, or it's price more, price higher. And this being priced at 50% premium, I guarantee those cars are all sold. Is really smart by them, because it's now given shareholders the confidence again that Ferrari has the ability to continue pricing up on a significant number of new cars to come. So I think it's really smart. And as a former banker, I respect that.
Is it? Oh, sorry, go on, TJ.
No, I was going to say, what does a standard 12 cylindry retail at? Would you guess?
I think pounds, base before any options is around about 350.
Okay,
somewhere in that
so
territory. And this is
so
about
500. This is about 500 grand. So think about it this way. Like, this is where Ferrari are actually, I think, in a category of their own in terms of being able to create options that people are willing to seemingly pay endless amounts of money for. I mean, this is effectively an option on a 12 cylinder. You could look at it this way. I'm paying 150 grand for the option of shifting gears through a manual simulated gear shifter as opposed to my flappy paddles on my 12 cylinder. Not to mention how much they charge for all the other options like painted shields and carbon fiber this and that. They make the margin on the options is insane if you think about it that way. So for me, the strategy is create more and more desirable options that you can effectively charge ridiculous margins on. And so the base car is just a way of going to your customers and trying to build out these expensive options on.
In fairness,
and it's kind of genius.
Yeah, that's what most, having worked for car companies in the past, that's where most of the margin is on new cars anyway, is in the options, which is why options on any car, even if you buy a BMW 4 Series and you spec it out, the price difference can be crazy once you get some options on it. So it's where all the margin is. I think you're right, TJ. I don't see this as necessarily an option, because I think it's more about the special edition of it, and there are also, you've got to bear in mind that there'll be people out there that will buy one just simply for investment purposes, with the expectation of value increasing. Someone else on the internet made quite an interesting point of what will this do to old V12 Ferrari manual values. So if you've got a 599 manual, for example, or you have a 550 manual or something like that, will it actually help or hurt the value? And I think personally it will help it, because it will kind of make everyone fall back in love with V12 manual Ferraris. So but it's quite an interesting point. Do you think last bit on the 12 Cilindri Manuale probably is, and sorry to mention he who shall not be named, aka Luce, but do you think it's compulsory to have an order for a Luce before you can get considered to buy the Manuale?
I think that there's going to be, have you seen some of the emails online from Ferrari dealers trying to pitch the Luce to their customer base?
I haven't.
You haven't seen it? Oh, we'll need to bring one up on the screen here, because they are getting roasted. And they're also not used to having to send out emails to try and sell their cars either.
That's true.
So, and there's actually one great one, and obviously a big Ferrari collector, and he's just having a go at this sales guy like no tomorrow.
Poor salesman.
But poor salesman, yeah. I don't know, but I hope not, because I don't think they'll do that personally, because I think they lost so much respect from their consumer base that I think if they tried to force them to buy the Luce to get something else, to get something special, then they would damage their relationship further. So I think they'll just let it be what it is. They're probably going to have a humongous write down on that investment. So watch out for, in a couple of years' time, Ferrari posting a massive, admittedly non-cash, but P&L loss at one point, or at least dent in their finances, which could be an interesting trade there. But I don't think they'll do it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well,
be interesting.
I mean, to TJ's point, this is to TJ's point earlier about the option, people paying 150 grand for the option of shifting manual. I think one of the things we wanted to discuss today as well, which I think this question kind of ties in with what we've been talking about, but I wanted to pose the question of manual versus paddles. And everyone's mentioned something to do with this. Ben, you mentioned like having the option of having paddles as well, because on some roads you want to shift paddles. So just going to throw this out there as simply as manual or paddles, which one is better?
Am I only allowed to say one word?
Yeah, you have
No.
to say one word.
No,
I think you have to. I think you
can
have to choose one.
Yeah, you got to pick one and justify it. That's the way I see this question.
I'm going to go for paddles, but I will explain. Owning probably one of the purest manual cars, Lotus Exige, and also owning cars with paddles, my paddles remark comes with a lot of caveats to it, but I'll come back to it in a minute. Tej, what about you?
I think you guys probably know. For me, it's manuals. It's manuals. I mean, having grown up with classic cars and then shifting to a manual 996 turbo. For me, I love the mechanical feel, and I thought even doing kind of alpine sort of mountain passes recently in the Pyrenees, thinking that the manual was going to be very cumbersome and very difficult to drive around it, and actually coming to the realization that it's not actually, and you just get into a rhythm, shifting gears and heeling and towing. And so for me, it's the experience of driving. I love being in a manual.
Yeah, mine's the same.
I need to ask you.
You don't need to ask me. It's definitely manual.
Yeah,
I completely agree with TJ, and I think I'll do my justification first, but and then we can discuss more. But yeah, I think I just love the challenge of a manual. For me, driving hard, it needs to be, there needs to be some element of challenge to it. Otherwise, for me, it takes away from the experience, actually. Even if it means I'm slower than some other people who are driving paddles, I think I'm having more fun. That's what I care about. Like that, heel and toe. When you nail a heel and toe downshift, and you get it just right, it's there's nothing more satisfying than that in a car. So I think for me, definitely manual. I think my favorite cars that I've ever driven have always been manuals. I think one of the greatest cars that I've driven on Alpine roads, on the passes, in the mountains, in the Alps, and so on and so forth, is the 981 Cayman GT4. Such a good car. And I think, look, if you're a bit rubbish at heel and toe, you can press a button and it will do it for you with rev matching and stuff, which for some people it helps with enjoying the manual experience. If you don't know how to heel and toe, I think it's a bit more, maybe it's not quite as enjoyable, but that kind of helps you to learn it. So I think I would always heel and toe, because I just think the challenge of a manual is what makes it so fun. And TJ, I know we've spoken about this before, but you let me have a go in the 996 turbo in April when we were in the Pyrenees, and I mean, it's just so fun. It's so fun, and I was jumping out of a 458 and into your car, and I was having more fun in your car. So I think, And
then on the flip side of that, like, I loved getting in the 458 and feeling those like punchy, like in your gut punch shifts. Like I love the fast, punchy paddle shifts. So in an ideal world, you can jump between the two and enjoy the differences between the two. But if I had to stick with one that I just thought gave me the most rounded, fun, engaging connection with the car, it's like you just described. It's being in the manual and heeling and towing. Yeah.
But to that point, not all cars are actually suited to a manual. A manual in every single car wouldn't actually be better necessarily. There are some cars in which the paddle shift makes sense,
Right.
And there's some examples of that, even where like they've made a manual and they've made a paddle shift, and generally people prefer the paddle shift versions. So I I do think it does depend on the car, but I didn't give you the option to pick both. So
unless you buy the new 12 cylindric or a Koenigsegg.
yeah,
Well, actually,
Yeah.
only the Koenigsegg still do you get both. But
yeah, exactly.
so yeah, look, I mean, my answer for why paddles is because of what you said, TJ. It's that the one thing that the manual can't do, and we had a good drive out on Saturday with some of our members. I was leading in the Exige, and I agree with you, Elliot. When you get a heel and toe downshift right as you're going around the corner, and as you're in, you can get into like a flow state in a manual, which is just, it feels amazing. And I absolutely love that experience. Don't get me wrong. But there's also that gut punch from a good DCT, or even some of the more modern ZF gearboxes, like in my Giulia Quadrifoglio, where as you downshift or upshift, you get like a bark from the exhaust, which is difficult to replicate with a manual car.
Yeah.
And that upshift or downshift, like visceral sound when it happens, because as you know, Elliot, like when I upshift in my car, it's like a gun has gone off.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And
Does sound incredible.
It's really cool. And obviously in a Ferrari, having owned the Ferrari FF, having spent a lot of time in F12s and things like that with you, is when you make that downshift and you get that high pitched noise, it's just, as you're going around a corner, it's just awesome. And I think I can enjoy that more frequently in day-to-day driving than I can that getting into that flow state in the manual, which I think requires an amazing road. So that's why, is because I can get that sense of occasion from a great paddle shifting box more frequently. The one thing I will say is, you can have, I don't think necessarily fast gearbox always equates to a fun gearbox. Like, I don't think the PDK, unless you're in a GT3 where you get the visceral sound of what that car brings to you, having owned a number of Porsches, I don't think the PDK is a fun gearbox at all. I would take a manual in it. But I think if it's paired with an awesome and emotive engine, like in a Ferrari, then I think it can work well. Saying all of this, if you get you can have the best engine in the world, but if it's paired to a crappy gearbox, the car is dead to me.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. The Lotus Emira, the new one. Friend of mine has one. He's made a slight modification to the exhaust. It sounds like an F1 car. It's like that specific car. I don't know what they've done with it, but it sounds unbelievable. But the gear shift is too slow, and I could never buy one as a result. So, yeah. So there's a lot of caveats to my answer. Yeah. But I think it comes down to the fact that I can enjoy the sensation of a good paddle shift more frequently than I can a manual, and that's why.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, to be honest, it's a funny, I've asked the question expecting a black and white answer, but the reality is you can't really give one, can you? Because ultimately it's more about the whole package of a car, and it's also about what you enjoy about driving. It's also about like whether the car itself is actually just an emotive car or not. Some cars just they have all the ingredients, but the end product just doesn't quite add up the way it should. So yeah, I think it's not as simple of an answer as maybe I made it, but I do think that there's a lot of what plays into this is also about what you enjoy about driving. Like, my dad's really into his cars, as you guys know, and he struggles to get to really, really enjoy manuals. He much prefers paddle shift, and but I think it actually also suits his driving style better, whereas maybe my driving style is more suited to a manual. So like, I think it's so dependent on what you really enjoy, and they can both be amazing and they can both be rubbish. It depends how well it's done, really, ultimately. But yeah, I think I would always pick a manual if I had the choice. I would definitely pick manual.
More risk of potentially destroying your engine though with a manual, so you be careful who you let go in your car. You
That's
could
true.
over rev it or wreck your clutch.
Yeah, true.
Unless you buy the new 12 cylindry, which won't allow you to
You
destroy
Good
there you
point.
go.
your clutch with it.
Or a Koenigsegg.
Or a Koenigsegg.
Not sure you're letting people have a go in them if you're buying either of those cars.
So, but
there was a
I was going to say, is the motto of this
Koenigsegg.
pod? Oh, sorry, we're talking over each other, TG.
Was
Go
a-
on. White
No, I was just saying
Koenigsegg.
that
Back to
there was a
Koenigsegg.
white Koenigsegg at Goodwood yesterday. It's the CC850
That's the
with
one
white
the manual.
wheels, and that's the one with the manual.
Yeah,
White on white, and I was like, wow, that's bold. Like, what do you call a white on white car? Because when you get like a fully blacked out car, you say it's murdered out, right?
yeah.
What's like the opposite of a murdered out car? Is it like a
Albino.
resurrected? Albino.
It's an albino, mate.
fully albinoed, fully resurrected. And it was but it was cool.
I love white on white. Maybe that's controversial, but I love a white on white car.
I do.
I think it looks great.
I've had a white on white car.
You have actually, yeah.
I have.
What was that?
My GR Yaris, white on white.
Manual.
White
Rally
wheels.
wheels. Yeah, manual. Exactly.
Yeah. Looks like a rally car when it's white and white. It has like a rally look to it.
Yeah.
Should
I think
we-
white's
should we-
coming back. to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. Well, black wheels, I've said this before and I'll keep saying it until I never see them anymore, but black wheels are dying out. Ben, we discussed the other day about you painting the Lotus wheels silver and it will just look better. So
Agree.
I agree.
don't buy black
Fully
wheels.
agree.
To
Fully agree
everyone
with
out
that.
there, stop buying black wheels. They don't look good. Buy silver.
Or white, if you want to be
Or
bold.
white. Go all in
I
on
do
white.
I do like gunmetal. I've got gunmetal
Yes.
ones on my silver Alpha,
Yeah, they
which
can
I
look
actually
good.
think looks decent. But straight black, gloss black in particular, nah.
Agreed. Shall we move on to our another topic which we're going to discuss today, which I'm very interested to hear what you guys have to say about this one. But we wanted to discuss cars that we thought we would love, but we didn't. So something that you've kind of thought about driving for a long time, or a bit of what I was saying before about like kind of has all the right ingredients, but then you drive it and maybe actually doesn't quite hit home. So I'm sure we've all experienced this in some way, shape or form before. So what are some cars you guys feel like, yeah, you thought you were going to absolutely love and then actually didn't quite live up to it?
I've got so many.
I'll go
literally so
first.
many, but yeah,
Mine's
go
fairly
first.
quick.
Save it in
Mine's
case you
fairly-
steal
mine's
some of
fairly
his.
quick. Mine actually is the M2 Comp, somewhat controversially. I had to go in one in Scotland on one of our trips. A friend of ours has one, and I thought I
Not
would love
anymore.
it because he doesn't have
Not
it anymore.
We got
Okay, well, there you
stolen.
go.
Got stolen.
Did it? Wow!
Yeah,
and
yeah.
apparently the guy who stole it was quite disappointed in how it drove as well. No, I mean, look, I think people that own M2s generally love them, and if you're a BMW person, I fully understand why it's a fun rear-wheel drive, playful car that's super capable and handles well. I did drive the automatic. I haven't driven a manual M2, and that might be part of the reason why. But I just found it wasn't exciting at all. It wasn't fun to drive. It was fast. It felt fast. It felt solid, but it felt very it just wasn't inspiring at all. And I felt like if over time I would just get very bored driving that. Again, maybe for me, I like something that's more of a challenge to drive, that engages you more, that has a bit more character. And I was driving it on good roads in Scotland, but I didn't feel like it was doing anything for me. I didn't feel like it was coming alive. I felt like it was felt a bit flat to me. So I would like to drive the manual because that might change things quite a bit. But I would not personally be looking at an M2 Comp anytime soon for me.
The the suspension is very harsh in that car,
Yeah.
and the DCT gearbox, whilst good when you're on it, at low speeds is very funky. It's
Mm.
very
Really?
it's a lot jerkier than you think.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually quite dim-witted at low speed. I would go as far to say.
Wow.
It feels like when you drive, it feels fast, TJ, and it feels playful, but it feels like a cheaper car. Like it feels like they put
Yeah.
everything into the engine and
Mm-hmm.
then haven't really thought about the rest of the car.
Yeah. We're
That's what
talking
it feels
about.
like.
We're not talking about the latest M2 either, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about
No.
Previous gen.
F series M2,
yeah.
which is I haven't driven it. Actually, F series M2 is one of the cars that has escaped me somehow, and I've never driven one. And I actually owned an M240i manual for a couple of years, and I somehow have never got behind the wheel of an M2, so I need to fix that somehow. But that's it's interesting. I feel like I've heard so many mixed things. Like people absolutely adore that car, and then I've heard a lot of what you've just said about people just finding it a bit disappointing and a bit lifeless almost. Which is, I don't know who to believe. I need to just get behind the wheel of one myself and then make my own verdict. But yeah, that's an interesting one, TJ. I wonder if the manual would make a difference for you.
It might do. That brings us back to our manual versus flat propeller
Yeah.
discussion. It might be that solves it for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we've got quite a few members that have M2 comps, so I'm not trying to throw shade on our members' choice of car. I just think, for me, I think it doesn't excite me.
Yeah. Well, Ben, I'm going to let you go first because I doubt very much that you've chosen the same car as me in your list of many cars. So go for it. Give us a few of them.
Yeah, I can't actually look on my phone to get the list of all the cars I've had. Some have definitely been disappointing, but I'll give you a few. Lotus Chimera, not because of the gearbox, albeit that was an issue with the automatic version. I actually didn't think the handling of it was as good as I thought, and this is coming from a Lotus owner. And I didn't own a Lotus before I drove the Chimera, so it's not in comparison to. It's my Giulia Quadrifoglio feels like a smaller, much more nimble car than the Lotus Chimera when you drive it. It is like that car feels a lot bigger than it actually is, and that was very odd to me.
That is interesting.
Very odd. So that was one. I owned an F-Type and does not handle well.
Well, hang on a minute, Ben.
Yeah,
tell
not
the
your
full
average
story.
Okay.
Tell the full story.
I bought a 2021 Le Mans edition 450, which is rear-wheel drive, and that's the reason why I bought that, because on the facelifted, you either could have the R, which is four-wheel drive, or you could have the 450, which is rear-wheel drive. So I wanted rear-wheel drive. And I knew that all I had to do was a few mods, and it would easily be as powerful as
which went well.
So I didn't even do a stage 1. I just did a stage 2 straight away, and I went from 450 horsepower to over 700 horsepower. And that thing was a beast, to be fair, but only in a straight line. As soon as you try to turn it, it is heavy, it is cumbersome, and I think until you've driven a lot of other cars, you don't realize quite how bad that car is. But it's not good, and we've got a lot of F-Type owners, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this. And it's not that I don't think they look awesome. They look really nice. I think the interiors are actually great. I think the sound is obviously phenomenal. V6 or V8, to be fair. It depends what you use it for. And for me, who does a lot of tight and twisty driving, it wasn't the right car for me. So
that could have something to do with the stage 2 map. To be fair,
No,
you
I
mapped
had
it so quickly. How many days did you own the car before you mapped it?
1 week. But
Answer
to
the
be fair,
question.
what 1 week, 1 week.
Right,
To be
so
fair,
there you go.
to be fair, that's not the shortest lead time between buying a car and doing something with it. Actually, when I bought a Porsche 718 Boxster, I had it booked in with DMS the same day as it arrived. So the only driving I did in that was to drive to DMS, and it was a lot better afterwards. But anyway, so that one was disappointing. Another car that was unbelievably disappointing to the point where I only owned it for a few weeks. Kia Stinger GT. Which supposedly was built by a lot of the same team that had been at BMW building the M cars. Their chief designer was from BMW M division,
And they were all fired.
car,
They were all fired from BMW and ended up at Kia.
that I bought that for Cherie's family car,
Ben,
thinking that it would be a bit of fun.
Just tell the listeners, I'm giving them a real picture of who you are now. Tell the listeners why you bought that car.
Well, to be fair, I bought that car because I hated the B8 Audi RS4 that I had, which I bought only, basically I had an RS3, didn't have a big enough boot because we had two kids, so I bought an RS4 thinking, okay, this has got a bigger boot, it's got the Audi R8 engine, and that was actually going to be the fourth car I was going to say, because that car is terrible.
Yeah,
except for the engine.
That car is the worst I've ever driven.
It is the worst steering I've ever driven in a car. Supposedly the B7 is good, but the B8 is absolutely dreadful. I had to get rid of it immediately. And then I bought the Kia Stinger GT because someone was going to give me all the money for the B8, and I thought, all credit to you. You can have it. Just get me out of this thing. And I got it, and I drove the Kia Stinger GT away from the dealership, and I was like, "What have I done? I've got to sell this now immediately."
the thing that made me laugh was like, Ben, why have you bought that? And he goes, "It's got a 7-year guarantee on it." Okay, Ben, but how long did you end up having the car for?
I think it took me about 7 weeks.
There you go.
Gosh,
it wasn't longer than 7 weeks.
That's pure man maths there for you, that is.
You didn't get it stage 2 mapped, I guess, Ben, before selling it.
Didn't have time.
No, I realised how bad it was too quickly, and fortunately, I don't think we've got a single Kia Stinger GT in the membership base, so everyone can have a good laugh at this without giving me any hate. Yeah, those are just a few cars to name. We should definitely do one day, which is the best cars that we weren't expecting to drive, because there's some really, really impressive cars, having driven them, that I thought they were going to be nothing, and then they were really good.
Good shout. Good shout.
That should go on our next pod for sure.
Yeah. I'll give you my one, which is a bit. This might be an interesting one. I might get some hate for this one, to be fair, but I've been lucky enough to drive quite a lot of different cars and drive them on some pretty good roads. The car that I actually was most disappointed by, not most disappointed by, that's not the right way of saying it. The car in which I thought I would love, and I thought I would fall in love with, but actually I didn't, was actually the Lamborghini Huracan STO. So obviously Lamborghini Huracan STO is basically the most hardcore version of the Huracan that they made. And if you know me, I quite like, I like kind of, like I said earlier,
hardcore.
I like a challenge of driving. Don't go there. I like a challenge of driving. I like to kind of have a slightly more pure driving experience, and I've driven the Performante quite a lot as well, and that's a 4-wheel drive car, which for me, I personally like a car that feels quite playful. So in my mind, I thought actually STO might be the perfect, the perfect supercar. Like, it's got an insane engine. Like the V10 is mental. It sounds absolutely ballistic. It's obviously got all the performance you'd ever need, but it's rear-wheel drive, so it might be quite playful and could be quite fun as a road car. And I say specifically a road car, but yeah, I think it just ended up being, to be honest, it was, and I will say it looked unbelievable. The car looked amazing. Like, it's one of the best.
It's unbelievable.
The one that I drove was the best spec I've ever seen. Yeah, sounds incredible. Like one of the best sounding cars ever. But I think on the road, it was actually there's just too much car, basically. It got so much. It had so much performance that you couldn't actually enjoy it on the road. Like, the limit was so high that you kind of find yourself driving the car at like 6 to 7 tenths most of the time, just simply because if you drive it any more than that, you're going such illegal speeds that you're more scared about losing your license than you are about the speed that you're traveling at. So I think the reality of that car on the road was actually just that you just always felt like, I just need to be on a circuit. I basically need to be on a massive circuit like Spa or something to really enjoy this car, which I think on a circuit it would probably be epic to drive that car. But on the road, which in reality is where most people drive their cars, and ultimately is where we like enjoying our cars, in the mountains, in the Alps, in the Pyrenees, it just didn't quite add up, and unfortunately just spent too much of the time having to back off, which to me is not enjoyable. I would rather have a fraction of the horsepower but be able to use it all and push the limits of the car and feel the limits of the car, and enjoy it, which is why I love the 996. But I'm not going to go there
exactly. I think anything more than 500 horsepower is too much for the public road.
It's too much.
Anything more than 450 is just too much. And you don't want to be driving a car feeling like, I wish I could really drive this car. If only I could really open this car up. I think that's kind of a sad place to be if you're constantly feeling that. And I think, unfortunately, for a lot of supercars nowadays, you are going to be feeling that.
Yeah. I think a lot of these supercars are kind of about scratching the itch. Like, I think it sounds really like bratty and spoiled to be like, I'm not interested in Lamborghinis and stuff, because I think if anyone has the opportunity to drive one, go drive one. That's not what I'm not saying. Don't do it. Go drive one if you get the opportunity, do it. But I think a lot of them are actually like, once you've scratched that itch, like if you really are buying the car for driving, I think if you're buying it to sort of show off or to look at in the garage or whatever, fair enough. Like, they're epic. They look epic. They sound epic. You can rev it in town, and like, we're driving through the villages in France, and like the kids all run out of their schools and they're literally screaming like they're possessed by the devil. They're like, they don't even know what to say. And then you rev it and it's just like, you just get cheers and people are so happy. But so that part of those kind of cars I love. But I think if you're actually just there to drive, a lot of the time, I think you scratch the itch, but there's actually a lot more fun you can have for probably a lot less money and a lot less power.
Yeah. One thing I will say about the STO, which I was shocked by, was having spent a bit of time in the Performante with you, Elliot, as well, is the difference is tremendous in terms of from a sensory perspective. Like, you think, Performante versus STO, okay, one's rear wheel drive, it's got a bit of different body styling, but it's going to be similar experience. It's not at all. Like, I could only go in that STO for half an hour and I had to come out. Like, it was just like, just the amount of noise, just the sheer decibel limit in the car was so tiring. And I love, I love a good exhaust, but that was just too much.
I remember your dad had a go in it, and he literally was just like, he got out and he was like, I don't like it, it's too scary. And I do think it is a scary car. Like, it is just like, you do need to actually know, you need to know what you're doing in that car. Otherwise you can get your head bitten off quite easily. But yeah, it is quite an intimidating thing.
Oh,
wow.
Well, we've been talking about cars that we think are underwhelming, but should we talk about some of the cars we've been overwhelmed by from some of our recent Ottano events that we've had in the last week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I was going to say, on the Lamborghini front, there was a lovely white Lamborghini Huracan Performante that was at one of the recent Cars and Coffee events we did in Henley. That's it was a beautiful spec, and just a beautiful car. I'd love to drive it. I've never driven it. Have you? What would it be like versus the STO, do you think, in terms of the perf to drive?
I drove them both a lot, and actually the Performante is a much more friendly experience. I think for most people, it's actually probably a nicer car to own and drive. It's a bit less scary. It's a bit less bite your head off. But it's still got the epic noise of the engine, and it also backfires more on the downshifts and stuff. So it's kind of got a bit more of those maybe slightly artificial things, but that help you enjoy the car, and maybe makes you feel like a superhero when you drive it, because it does. I do think it does quite a bit for you in the driving experience. But
so anyways, that
like a champion.
That was a beautiful car. The beautiful car. Correction, it was the Caffeine and Machine run, wasn't it? Where the white perf came. And so that's a lovely spec. The only suggestion I would make is that he paints the wheels from black to white and goes fully resurrected on his Lamborghini spec.
Yeah, good shout.
Well, why don't you text him, Elliot, and say we'd like to see your car in full albino. See what he says. He'll be like, what?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'll do that. He might think I'm a bit weird.
All right, go on, Elliot. You're next.
Yeah, so
top pick.
So my top pick on as we've been talking a lot about manuals, is there was a lovely red manual E92 M3 coupe at our last at the Caffeine Machine run as well. Really, really nice car. I mean, I love the E92 M3. I think the sound is beautiful. I always find it refreshing as well when you see a car that looks fairly stock, because I think a lot of them get distastefully modified, let's say. But this is a nice stock looking car, manual gearbox, which we love. Lovely 4-litre V8, which sounds glorious. And I just think they're quite cool. I think if you've got a tidy manual one of those, you might want to hang on to it. That's my that's my opinion on those things. There's not really many cars like that out there. So that's my pick of the week, is that red manual E92 M3.
A solid pick.
Nice.
Solid pick.
So from red exterior to red interior, I will go with one of the new Honda Civic Type Rs, which, as we know, all have red front seats, which looks epic. But I think they've done a great job in the latest generation of the Civic Type R in terms of looks, and supposedly also like the handling dynamics of it are phenomenal as well. I haven't driven one yet, but I just think it's a great car. Like, I was trying to rationalize in my head, could I get this for Cherie as a family car? Because it's a hatchback. It's got a big boot. It's got actually a lot of space inside, and she loves a manual, like go-kart feeling type car. She loved the mini JCW that we had. She loved the Golf GTI manual that we had, so I actually think she'd really like it. But they're just a little bit too much money for what I'd want to spend right now. They need to come down a bit. But no, that was a great car.
The conversations between Ben and his wife about cars, it's like, babe, I've got a great new suggestion for a family car. It's a Honda Civic Type R manual, and I've got a Stage 2 remapped it as soon as I bought it. Hope you like it.
Literally.
To be fair, she will just drive it. Like, she's stopped even saying anything. If I just get a new car and bring it back, she'll just be like, okay, fine. The only thing she wants is she doesn't want it to be too low, because she likes to break front splitters otherwise. To the point where we were filming a video with a YouTuber in March, I think. The front splitter she'd broken, so I had got her booked in to get the new front splitter replaced. She replaced it, and as she was going out of the front splitter place, she broke the front splitter.
Oh dear.
And I was just like, you can't even make it up. Like,
I hope she's not listening. You're being in the doghouse.
Yeah.
I was, to be honest, I couldn't believe it. Like, I wasn't even annoyed. I was actually just like, this is just a bit funny, because it's like, fortunately, it wasn't too expensive. It was not like my Giulia Quadrifoglio splitter, which was $5,000.
I think
we won't talk about
Ben
that.
Ben and I could do a whole podcast on damage caused to our cars by our wives, but it would get us in a lot of trouble with our wives, and it would probably get us cancelled just in the wider world. So on that note, I think we should call it an end to episode 3 of the Ottano Podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe on YouTube and on Spotify. And stay tuned. We've got more podcasts coming out, more updates on what's going on in the world of cars and Ottano, and lots of cool events coming up as well in the members platform. Sign up to become a member if you haven't yet, if you own a sports or enthusiast car, and we'll be seeing you around very soon. Cheers. Bye, everybody.
All right. Cheers, chaps.
Bye.
You guys.